Hello students, welcome to part 2 of story writing explanation video. Let's repeat few points. In exams you will be given the introductory line or maybe few hints. You have to extend on them. You have to write about 150 to 200 words. You will be given the word limit over there. Question is going to carry 10 marks. Now what you have to do is that first you can make a rough draft, and what you have to think of is a catchy title, then give your story a solid start, middle, and then perfect climax should be there. You can have 3 to 4 paragraphs. You have to use good phrases, few dialogues should be there, few characters you will include. Describe or you use descriptors to describe the locational points, locational adjectives you can add, describe your characters' looks, clothes, expressions. Now I'll give you one example over here. Instead of just writing, I saw a man standing on the road, you can describe that person like this also. I saw a bald-headed man having a stern, sharp-featured look, dressed in a well-tailored suit. So this ways, children, you are not only extending on your line, but you are also showing your level of your vocabulary. Fine? Children, one point I want to give over here is that it's not that your main motive is just to pass your exams. Who knows, one day you may become a great author or the writer. Whichever profession or stream you take up, writing skill, enhancing on your writing skill will surely always be beneficial. If you read the bio sketches of all the great authors, they had started writing at your ages. So please just get started with it. Now I am sharing few starting lines in order to give your story a good start. Children, what you can do is that in your rough notebooks you can make notes, fine. You can make your notes under the headings like looks, dresses, expressions, locations. Put words and phrases over there, and before your exams you can go revise them, fine. This ways you will improve on your vocabulary also. Now let's get started with a few starting lines. Suddenly icy fingers grabbed my arm as I inched through the darkness. I suddenly found out that I was an heir to the throne. When I flipped on the radio that night, I couldn't believe the voice I heard coming through the speakers. I still remember the day I was born. There was a secret meeting in the morning and she absolutely had to be there. There was something about a music box that always made me think of home. I opened my eyes and had no idea where I was. He was heading back to the one place he hoped he would never ever have to see again. Today she would find out if her entire life was a lie. Shaking, I grabbed his hand and said my goodbyes. A road trip was just the thing for me and my friends. Children, this ways you can use a solid starting line. It's not that you just have to use these lines only. You can think of something similar, and few lines should be there in your mind. So whatever is your topic, whatever is the situation of your story, you can mold the lines, fine. Students, let's take one example of a story. You can be given the introductory line of few points like this. The doorbell rang, Sunil opened the door. At first he couldn't recognize the tall, well-dressed man who stood before him. Then the man spoke and all of a sudden, dash, this is Now you have to extend on this line, right? How can you do that? Let's take one. I'm putting up a sample over here. The doorbell rang. Sunil opened the door. At first, he couldn't recognize the tall and the well-dressed man who stood before him. Then the man spoke, and all of a sudden, the time clock moved back fast. The reel of the real life started rewinding itself. Could he be Arvind himself? Arvind, his elder brother? Oh yes, he was Arvind. No doubt about it. 20 years is quite a long time. A lot of water has flowed down the Ganges since then. Sunil couldn't even forget that unfortunate evening of the 4th of June 1996. Arvind had failed again in class 12th. A great shock to the whole family. Father was totally broken man. He was crushing himself, his stars, and of course his unworthy eldest son. Arvind for bringing misfortune to the whole family. But Arvind showed no remorse, no emotion either. He was dumbfounded and stood in the corner like a statue of stone. Next morning, he was not found in the house. After 3 days of intense search, the police was informed. He was found nowhere. Now children, over here the writer has in a way included suspense. Right? After months of weeping, eye and mourning, the family reconciled to the inevitable. Now this shows your vocabulary, the nice words that are being used over here. And now the same Arvind stood before them. A taller and handsome Arvind stood well dressed like a gentleman of importance. Mummy and Papa hugged him and wept with joy. Everyone was interested in knowing where the missing links of the 2-decade-old story. What emerged from the narration was a story of a self-made and hard-working man. Arvind turned over a new leaf. Now this is a new phrase that has been used. He did some odd jobs to sustain and educate himself. He graduated from the University of Delhi with the first division. He got a decent job in a prestigious multinational and bought a 2-bedroom flat on installments. No doubt he was of marriageable age but preferred to remain a bachelor. They say that all is well that ends well. Very nice line over here has been used, and it was a happy ending for the whole family as Papa and Mummy were soon busy in finding a suitable girl for their blessed son. What a nice ending this writer has given. So children, this story started with a man seeing somebody standing in front of him, and where the writer took the story, a suspense element also has been added, and then a proper ending has been done. This is exactly what you have to do in your story.